It's a great day. My name is Shay Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the number one business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we are on a mission. And our mission really is to empower. Our mission is to inspire. And our mission is to provide you, the hard-working entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And on this episode, we have the one and only LeAndrea, who's in the building. And, she'll be talking about when the patient became the patient, in so many words, by the way, which I can't wait. But let me first say hello. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Fantastic. Thanks for being here. Let me just jump right into it. People are going to read your bio and we'll get into how famous you are. Some people have already Googled you and looked you up because that's what they do, and that's cool. But I'm curious, and I just want to just address the elephant in the room, which is, how did your lupus diagnosis really change your shift for your purpose and how you see the world?
That's a good question, man. um, I did not think I would be sitting here. Um, I found out I had lupus. My daughter was maybe 2. It took about a year for them to diagnose me with lupus. So that whole year was a lot of doctor's appointments. I actually gave up a few times. So I just stopped going to the doctor because nobody could tell me what was wrong with me. After I received the diagnosis and started a treatment plan, what changed is I was working in healthcare and I continue to work in healthcare. And I've had other flares since then. And I realized if I was having such a hard time just navigating the financial side of healthcare, the insurance, the benefits, and I have now a master's degree in healthcare administration. What was everybody else doing? How were my patients really navigating that side of it? And so that became my mission, is to actually help them, because as I dug in, I realized they weren't there was not any help in that area.
Sure.
Benefits and insurance is separate from the healthcare that you receive. That's something different. Even the providers don't really have all the answers for the insurance, and sometimes are even perplexed on how it works.
I'm curious, as you were speaking there, you were the expert and you became the patient. What shocked you the most, I should say, about the healthcare system when you became the patient?
I wasn't able to prepare for any of my healthcare issues. You don't know how much things cost. How do I find the answers to that? Just trying to prepare, because, like I say, that healthcare insurance literacy is a form of financial literacy. And it's probably one of the hardest because the information is not in stone. It's not there to find sometimes. So it's hard to figure that out.
That's spot on. And as you were speaking there, okay, most people, Shay Brown, most people, maybe if you like Shay Brown, I'm probably part of the most people. When we get the medical bill and we look at it, we're like, we kind of hide and run the opposite way. When someone gets, I'm the only one, I'm sure, okay? But the question in all seriousness is, what's the first thing people should do when they get their medical bills, by the way?
Well, I like to start that conversation even before you get that medical bill, to start asking questions. And it just depends on, if this is a spontaneous, you got sick and you called into your doctor's office, versus you need a procedure that you know you're going to have. It's not an emergency, but you need to have it done. To start asking questions right then for your provider, the questions for them, the questions to your insurance companies, looking through your benefits. These are things that I suggest prior to that, so you can have some idea of what this is going to look like financially, because it can be a surprise when you get it on the other end. And if it's something that you can somewhat plan, then I just recommend that. If you are getting a bill afterwards, there's still things you can do. One of the things that I noticed was that sometimes patients will go in for that initial appointment and they get the bill, it's $300-400, and they don't show back up for their follow-up because they can't pay that amount, so they just don't go back to the doctor. um, and so they're not getting the follow-up care that they need, in order to get out of the trouble zone that they're in. So still getting on the phone and communicating that with your provider. Hey, I have a $300 bill. I need to set up a payment plan because I can't pay all that. Is that okay? Can I still come in for my follow-up? They are willing to work with you if they understand your financial situation. It's not like buying a car where you just go out and you bought it and you can't call your um, people that you make your car note to and say, hey, I can't afford to pay that this month, because you kind of should know that what kind of car you could afford. Our medical care is different. We don't know. We don't know. We don't typically want to even have to deal with it if possible. So
But as you were saying that, I'm curious, what are some common mistakes? You talk about getting it on the front end, which I like. What are some common mistakes that you see that we make with our insurance? I'll say that cost us stress and money on the back end. Are there some things that we should be looking at when we're renewing our insurance policy once a year? We're enrolling, or we get to make those changes. And I know it's a loaded question because people are different places and different spaces with different backgrounds and different health conditions. But in general, if you say, Shay, here are 1 or 2 or 3 common mistakes people make just when they're enrolling, that if they just look at this, they wouldn't have as much stress or as many bills on the back end. Other
I
than
like
think
to
I'm going to
say
be
with
helping
your
forever.
yeah, that's probably tip number one, is don't think about it that way, that you're not going to need some type of care, because that one time that you don't get any health insurance will be the time that you need. It's just going to happen. But a tip that I would give as far as choosing your benefits is to match the benefits closely to whatever was going on last year, and at that moment. So if you are somebody who utilized a lot of care the prior year, are you someone who feels like you probably should have utilized the care? Make sure that that's matching. If you are going through your deductible, you may want to go up more to make sure that you can pay for that deductible. A lot of times we look at the insurance as far as which one is the cheapest one, and it's not always the case that it's going to be cheaper. Also, looking into HSA accounts, especially ones that roll over, where you may be paying more this year, but you get more that you can also use the following year. And then maybe if you didn't use anything, you can go down with that safety net. So that's something that I would say. I would also say to continue to communicate with your provider. One of the things I see all the time is where a patient is getting prescribed a medication that their insurance company um, decides they're either not going to pay for, or it's extremely expensive. And patients don't go back and communicate to their provider, hey, this is $600 a month for this medication. I can't afford that. The provider may not know that for your particular insurance they don't cover this, or they cover it really bad, only cover so much of it. So communicating that, because the providers may have something else that they can give you.
And you mentioned earlier at the very beginning of this, thanks for sharing. This is very helpful. You mentioned at the beginning that, you almost gave up. And I'm curious, someone who's an expert, she was an expert. Let's be clear. She was an expert in this field, and then she became the patient. I know, kind of fun, isn't it? But I'm curious, how can we ask better questions at the doctor's office when we're going through whatever our situation is? Again, I hate to put you on the spot, make this like a therapy session with Shay Brown, but I'm just curious, when we're in there, are there certain drill down questions that we should ask the doctor that can help? I like the other question you talked about, which is, hey, if I can't afford this medicine, what are some alternatives, right? But what are some better questions that we can ask the doctor on the front end as well?
Well, also, before you even get to the doctor, the person that you're making your appointment with, they
Yeah.
are utilize them. they usually are the ones that's doing all the paperwork, all the insurance for the provider. So if sometimes people feel like, oh, I don't want to bother the doctor with that, that's fine. They have other people in the office that will be happy to talk to you about that. A lot of times you're leaving the doctor's office with like some labs to go get, or you may need to go to a get some x-rays, and talking to them, they can help you make sure that you're in network with wherever you're going, to make sure to call ahead of time to see, hey, what would their copay look like when they get there. They will help you with that.
Good. That's good. I didn't think of it that way. And you talk about, I mentioned empowered patient, and we all wonder what in the LL Cool J does empowered patient mean, by the way. And can someone become an empowered patient? When I heard that term, I was like, I like that. Talk about that for a moment, if you can, for those folks that are hearing that term for the very first time. I had a chance to at least see her in person, ladies and gentlemen, so it's a little different. But some of you, you might be hearing the term empowered patient. Talk about that, if you would, please.
Sure. So an empowered patient is a patient who is asking questions, who is aware. I used to work at the front desk years ago, and I would have patients to come in. I'm like, okay, what are you here for? I don't I don't know. They just told me to come in. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna take your kidney today. We're gonna go ahead and take your kidney out since you don't even know why you're here. But an empowered patient is one who understands why they are there. And if you do not understand why you are there, ask somebody, what do I have? Why are you deciding to do this? Why am I coming back here 2 weeks later and not a month later and I feel well? You can ask these questions. This is your health. This is this is not their health. This is your health. You can ask whatever questions so that you can walk out of there with the answers you need to understand what they are doing, what they are looking at. What were my test results? Hey, excuse me, what was my blood pressure the last time I came in here versus what it is now? You have the right to all of that information.
I like it. And some people, they meet you for the first time, say, Shay, this is great. You just jump right into it. This is one. I don't know who this woman is, Shay. I did not read her bio. I'm in the kitchen cooking dinner right now. Maybe you listen to the podcast or we're in your ears. We're watching you on the big screen TV. Hey, it's good to be seen. Thank you for joining us. You have a lot of choices, and we're very humbled that you're here with us right now. So thank you. So I'll slow down for a moment. I'll ask LeAndrea to talk about who are you, right? And give us a little more of the backstory that led to where you are now. So just folks have some context on who you are. You weren't just a person working at the front desk, by the way. You did a number of
Yes.
different things. So talk about your background, if you would, please, so the audience knows who's talking to us right now.
Sure. So I am a AAPC fellow, which is American Academy of Professional Coders. I again have a master's degree in healthcare administration. I do medical coding, medical auditing, and clinical documentation and provider education. I know it's a lot of words to say that I make sure that healthcare is documented accurately and reimbursed properly. That is what I do. That is what I'm passionate about. I help both providers and patients when navigating this very complex health system that we all are a part of. Everybody looking at me on this screen right now is a part of that system. It's not one that we want to be a part of, but we have to be. It's just how things work. And so I knew how they worked with all the names that I listed, and I have a lot of additional credentials. But when I became a patient, I'm sick, I'm stressed, and I'm trying to, calculate money. At one point, I was on what's called FMLA, where I was only getting a portion of my prior paycheck. And so I'm trying to figure out how to budget and feel better so that I can make more money. So it's just like a circle that you go in trying to deal with all of this stuff. Again, I'm sick. I just want to lay down. I don't want to deal with budgeting. I don't want to deal with asking all of these questions. But I had to. I had to. I had to ask all these questions. And so I went from being behind in the back office to being in the front office and being in an exam room. And it really hit me that with everything that I had, all the education, all the training, all the helping that I was doing, I still was missing a piece. And I saw what piece that was when I became a patient.
Mm. And is that what inspired you to start the company that you have now, Healthcare Bills?
Yes. So the healthcare bills and benefits is a project where I have lots of tools and resources that I've created to kind of help you with those things that I'm telling you about. So I have scripts. So if you have an upcoming procedure, how to call and what to say to your provider, what to say to your insurance company, so that you can get a better picture of what your financial situation will look like for that. I have things on the site about how to read your explanation of benefits, which is that thing that everybody gets after it's not your bill. It says this is not a bill, and it's not. It is explaining what the insurance company is going to pay. You make sure to match that with your medical bills that are coming. I have another video on the healthcare bills and benefits site about trying to understand, why am I getting three bills for one visit? And explaining that you have your labs, which is separate. If you had a procedure, you may have anesthesia and the doctor and the facility. So all of those are going to come separate, which is also confusing because you pay one bill and you think it's over, and then you get another one and you're like, hey, I already paid this, but you didn't because it was a different bill. It's a lot of confusion. So that's what led me to do that. And let me just back up and say, I am a lupus advocate. I have lupus. This is what I have been navigating. So this is a chronic illness. This is something that I will have forever. It is something that I will be on medication for forever and navigating forever. So this is, not I just was sick one time and, could get better and jump out of this health system. I am probably going to be a part of it for life. So instead of, burying my head in the sand, I've just rolled up my sleeves, and whatever I learn, I'm giving it to you guys. And that's on both sides, learning from being a professional in the field and learning from being a patient.
Well said. Well said. If someone is watching right now and they're just feeling overwhelmed because of their diagnosis that maybe they're going through, they're not seeing as clearly as you are, or because of a mountain of bills, what's one or two simple steps you would recommend that they start off right away? Okay. And if you're out there watching, you might want to lean in, or if you know someone that does. Now, at the end, she's going to tell you how to connect with her and give a website and all that. But you might be thinking, like, what's something that I can do like now? What's the first or second thing that she would do, Shay, if she was like in a place of just overwhelmed right now? What's something you would say to that person that's watching right now?
I would say, if it is a chronic illness that you have, whether it's hypertension or ALS or whatever you have, there are support groups. You can literally, there's a foundation for whatever chronic disease you have. To look up that foundation and see what support they offer. Their support is usually tailored, and they really understand. For example, I can use the Lupus Foundation. They have information on just so many different facts, and they have the support groups so that you can go and see how you can navigate this disease from someone else who is figured it out. So I would say to look for a support group. If you have EAP through your job, that is the next thing that I suggest. And the reason for that is because both it'll deal with the stress, but they also can help you kind of get a plan together with how to move forward. Which doctor am I calling first? How am I going to pay for this? They will be a great place to start. Most employers offer about 10 to 12 sessions a year free with whatever you have. So getting with, especially if you have benefits through them. If you have benefits through an employer, they usually have an EAP benefit as well. So that's what I would recommend to start with. You can also just tell the doctor or anyone in that doctor's office that you trust. It doesn't even have to be the doctor. They will get you what you need. So if you feel more comfortable with the secretary at the front desk, if you feel more comfortable with the medical assistant who comes in the room first, let them know. And your concern doesn't have to just be physical about your health. Your concern can be about, I am going to do this alone. I don't have anybody. I don't have transportation to get back and forth. They can help with all of that.
That's I love that, by the way. You know, with everything that you've gone through, all the craziness is going on, I'll just say in the world, no matter what your beliefs are, and we'd all would agree these are some interesting times we're all living in. What keeps you so hopeful each day that this system will get better, that people will be able to navigate it, that there is the possibility that things will go the way they should go? I know that's like a pie in the sky type of question, but I'm curious, what keeps you hopeful? What gets you up every single day saying, this thing can be better?
To be honest, I enjoy life separately from everything that is going on, and there is still joys in life. So I would remind everybody that even though we are in some very heavy times to navigate, find the small joys and hold on to them. I was given some advice that really worked for me, which is if you can't figure out kind of what makes you happy, try to channel that little kid. What did you like doing when you were a little kid? Go do it. It doesn't matter. You don't have to, make money off of it just because you want to crochet. You don't have to start a crocheting business or anything like that. You can just go crochet. Whatever it is that you love to do, still do it. Still find those joys, and everything else will follow. But you have to find those little joys, and sometimes that's all. That's all we have. So that'd be my advice.
Well said, by the way. As we come down the home stretch, one of my favorite questions I like to ask when we have a few minutes, we got a couple minutes now, is what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given? And I know you've had a lot of mentors along this journey of life. You probably read more books than you can remember, got a lot of letters behind your name, classes and videos. I don't know if we even track how many we go to anymore. But if you had to step back and say, you know what, Shay, this is one of the best pieces of advice that's been given to me that I just want to pass on to someone else, what would it be and why?
The best piece of advice that I had was not to attach my name to any company, but to the industry and to what I do. That has been very good advice because I have been able to move seamlessly through whatever I was doing because I wasn't. When you attach to a company, then when the company makes changes, when a company closes, you lose your career identity. And so it was just very good advice to attach to identify with that industry instead of that company. So that was a very good piece of advice for me.
I love it. And what does success look like for you these days? What does it even feel like?
Success feels like being able to still help people, being able to get providers the care that they need for their patients, being able to raise funds to continue finding a cure for lupus. Just so everyone knows, there is no cure right now for lupus. There is no one drug that can solve the issues with lupus. And it still takes a long time to be diagnosed with lupus. So I continue that fight with myself and everyone else. My mother also has lupus, so it's a heavy fight.
You're doing a great job, by the way. When you're not out saving
Thank
the world, not helping people and make sure their medical bills are taken care of, not bringing hope to folks who just think the healthcare system is just broken, what do you do for fun? What does fun look like for you these days?
I love dancing.
Okay.
So you'll find me at the late doing the latest line dance, whatever is, I try to keep up as they have new ones every week now. So, but I try to keep up with line dancing. I love going out dancing with my friends. I love even aerobic dance like Zumba and Mixed Fit. I love anything dance. I was a cheerleader for years. So, and I also teach Pop Warner cheer. So I really enjoy cheering and dancing and also reading and writing. Before this is a little side quest of mine. I actually have written 5 adult novels that were featured at the Essence Festival 2016 and 2017.
Wow.
um, just something fun that I was able to capitalize off of. I still love writing. I even write for the American Academy of Professional Coders medical journal that they have. So that's what I'm doing. I'm dancing, reading, or writing.
I love it. Sounds like a lot of fun, by the way. For those folks out there as we come down the home stretch, that they're like, hey, I want to connect with her. Two-part question. Number one, what type of clients are you looking to work with these days? I think that's fair. And number two, how can they connect with you? Like, Shay, I love what I'm hearing. She says she has resources. She says she's helped folks. Is there a website? Should I find her on social media? Like, where can I find this person? How can I connect with her? Please share.
Yeah, so the easiest way to find my healthcare bills and benefits project is through LinkedIn. There you will find a link to the website. It's very long, so it's easier to just find me on LinkedIn, LeAndrea Mack, and you can click on that. All those resources that I named plus more are available for free. That's not a service that I charge for. The clients that I work with are providers, auditing their medical records, looking for ways to get things that are denied to get them paid, or let's get something fixed, so that we can get it paid going forward in the future. So health insurance, benefits, those type of things. But for the audience, unless you are a provider, I definitely think you should go out and check my healthcare bills and benefits site through LinkedIn. Again, just look me up and it'll be right there for you. And you can find those scripts that I was saying that you can read if you have an upcoming procedure that you're getting ready to get, or if you want to understand your explanation of benefits or why you're receiving so many different bills in the mail. There's so much information, so many tools that I've put together to try and help. I even have information on fighting medical debt and what to do about that, because that is something I believe 1 in 10 Americans are dealing with at this time. So it's a pretty big deal. A medical debt, again, is not something that we normally are choosing to have. It is something that has been sprung on us that we have to work backwards to pay off. So all that information is there on LinkedIn for you.
Wow. Well, let me say thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. Can't wait to connect with you again and keep changing lives.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And thank you to viewers. Thank you for tuning in, by the way, because without you, we don't have a show. And so thanks for spending this time with us. We appreciate you. And I want you to know, no matter what's going on in your life, no matter what you're going through, whether you're doing really, really well, and there's that next level of success, whatever that looks like, or you've been hit with the punch you never saw coming. The one thing I do believe is that you get a fresh start today. You get a do-over, and there's always an opportunity for you to have your best day ever. With that being said, my name is Shay Brown. Make it a great day, everyone. Peace. We out of here, and we'll see you both on the other side. Bye-bye for now.